Hi guys, Brian here. January 9th. Today is January the 9th, as a matter of fact. It is Black Dahlia Day. That's, for lack of a better word, it's the day that Elizabeth Short, who became known as affectionately known as the Black Dahlia, disappeared. Um, and she disappeared, at the time she's living, well, there. We're going to start off here, and we're going to talk a little bit about the neighborhood. Um, as you know, I live in Hollywood. I don't just live in Hollywood, I live in Hollywood. And there's her where she hung out and things like that. It's still here. So we're going to start here, and let's show you around a little bit, shall we? This is the Chateau Hollywood. You're at 1842 Cherokee Avenue. Chateau Hollywood, back in the 1940s, was called the Chancellor Apartments. It's here where Elizabeth Short was living in November, from November 13th until about December the 5th of 1946, possibly later, up until the time when she disappeared. She's living here, sharing an apartment with 7 other women. Now, most people know the story of the whole Black Dahlia. Elizabeth Short was last seen leaving the Biltmore Hotel downtown. She was dropped off there by a guy named Red Manley. And she was never seen again until January 15th. Her body was found at 39th and Norton, about 3 miles south of me right now, and it was found completely cut in half. I mean, there was no serration marks on her spine. It was a clean cut straight through the middle. It was really nasty. And then there's lots of stories where you take tours and things like that. For example, where I am right now, tour guides would tell people that this was where her last apartment was. You might recognize that as the balcony from Pretty Woman, by the way. She did supposedly live here for a short time, but also, see, this is the weird thing, because things get a little convoluted. Somebody reads one thing and they hear from somebody else, whatever. There was a place called the Hawthorne Apartments. The Hawthorne Apartments they were destroyed back after the earthquakes, but they were down across the street from the football field of Hollywood High School. So I was wondering if maybe there's things they may have gotten confused. Who knows? Anyway, that is supposedly there. That's one of the places. People have said that was the last place where she lived. But because this was basically her neighborhood, and this is what it was. For a long time she lived around here. She stayed at Mark Hansen's place over on Carlos, by Carlos and Gower. Mark Hansen ran a girly called the Girly Review at the Florentine Gardens that she apparently worked at for a short time. So she shared a place there. She shared the place down at the Hawthorne Apartments. There was, oh my gosh, golly. Well, first of all, let's get back to just the story of her. The thing about the story of Elizabeth Short is suspects. There were suspects. Holy crap on a cracker, there were suspects. There were like 60 suspects, over 60 suspects. Among them, of the 60 suspects, and I actually had to write some of these down because I don't like to get confused. I don't like to piss people off about getting wrong information and stuff like that. But Norman Chandler, the publisher of the LA Times, which I thought was kind of... Now, Red Manley, he's my personal choice. Mark Hansen, who did the other thing. George Hodel, Steve Hodel's father. Stevie Hodel, who's that cop who wrote that really shitty book that I don't happen to believe, and a lot of other people I know don't happen to believe. Anyway, some of my personal favorites were Woody Guthrie, Bugsy Siegel, and Orson Welles. Oh, Man Ray was another one, as a matter of fact. So now, she lived in the neighborhood. She would stay in different places around here and stuff like that. She stayed with people. Aside from down there at the Orange, there was the places that still exist, which is the cool part about this. You can still visit Elizabeth Short's Hollywood. The Black Dahlias Hollywood still exists. You can see it if you go to places like along here. When this thing ends, if you go to, she would have gone to some place like Musso and Frank if she could have gotten somebody to take her out to dinner at Musso and Frank. Or right around the corner to Bordner's. Let's go to Bordner's for a second, shall we? So you're looking up Cherokee, where her apartment would have been. This, which is the Escape Hotel, would have been a Rexall drugstore back in the day when she lived here. And then down here, this is where Larry Edmunds' bookstore is, by the way, the greatest bookstore on earth. And then this is the Hollywood Cherokee building. Now, the Hollywood Cherokee building is significant for a number of reasons. The history of it, it was a drive-through, the first building built in Hollywood that was designed specifically for cars. You could drive through, a valet park your car, go into this back tile thing back. Upstairs were a bunch of different offices. Among them was an office where my hero, the great Stan Freberg, got his first job in Hollywood. But more importantly, it is also where Bordner's is. And this is where a man named Dr. Faught, F-A-U-G-H-T, Dr. Faught's office was. He was a gynecologist. Specifically, he was Elizabeth Short's gynecologist. He was the Black Dahlia's gynecologist. And she was known, now there are some tour guides where I tell you that Bordner's was the last place that she had her drink for. No, she did hang out here apparently. But that's the best thing I can tell you. But upstairs was her gynecologist. You might remember a lot of this also from, hold on a second, I'm sorry. From the great film Ed Wood. All of this was in Ed Wood and used exactly the way it is right now. It's still got a beautiful look to it. It's a stunning building. But you can see, you could drive in there. You can see where the red gates are. You drive through there. There was a courtyard back there. There's a fountain. If you've been back there, you know what I'm talking about. But you would drive through the darn thing, drop off your car, and you could go walk around and stuff like that, go to the shops along in there. So she would hang out at Bordner's apparently. Again, this was her neighborhood. She always stayed somewhere near here anyway. And then upstairs was her gynecologist. Now, haunting-wise, yes, Bordner's is haunted. Supposedly Bordner's is haunted. Her ghost might haunt the bathroom, things like that. Whether you're into this kind of stuff or not, I don't give a damn. I only know what I know, okay? And I know that before one day, I've had unusual experiences with this alleyway inside there. It's really fucking creepy back there. And it took me, one day I was able to do it. I was with about 6 or 7 people on a tour who surrounded me, and I walked back up there, and I was able to go up there. It was the first time I was able to go up there. I get really weird inner feelings. It's really dark, and it's very intense, and some people say it's the Black Dahlia. I had one person who sees things, and I was standing here. And while I'm standing here, he was standing about where I am, so this is the view he had. And he said to me, "Do you know a woman with red hair?" And I said, "Not that I'm aware of." And he said, "Well, she's standing behind you and she seems to know you very well." So there was a ghost of a woman standing behind. I don't know. All I know is he freaked me out when he did that. So we just moved on. But back to Black Dahlia. Again, so this was one of the places where she hung out, was here at Bordner's. Bordner's originally opened in the 1920s. It's called My Blue Heaven. It was actually, it was a hairstyling, which meant it was a speakeasy. They did cards and stuff downstairs and booze upstairs and stuff like that. Eventually became Bordner's. Anyway, I ramble.